السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را تلك آيات الكتاب المبين. إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون. نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين. إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I was asked to talk about the divide of communication between parents and children, and this session was originally meant to be something directed at parents, but now that this is a combined session, inshallah ta'ala, hopefully it will be of benefit to both audiences. I'll share with you in the very beginning an advice my teacher gave me. My teacher, Dr. Abdul Samia, gave me some advice. He said, when you're going to address or ever give advice to anyone, and you wonder how you're going to, put together a topic and give a talk, just let the Quran do the talking. It's called guidance for a reason. So find where it is in the Quran that Allah Azza wa Jalla addresses a topic, and let that be the speech itself. And so that's what I'm going to try and do, inshallah ta'ala, living up to that advice. One of the most beautiful places you'll learn something about parenting in the Quran will be Surah Yusuf. And within Surah Yusuf, specifically Yaqub alayhi salam. All over the Quran, he is mentioned as a role model parent. Yaqub alayhi salam is mentioned as a role model parent. And in this surah, we learned something very special about him. In a previous session, those of you that were here, I mentioned how kids couldn't appreciate how awesome Surah Yusuf is. They didn't see what the big deal was. Well, I want to highlight at least some of those things, some of those lessons that we can benefit from, both as parents and as children. Yusuf alayhi salam, young boy, sees a dream. You all know the story, right? Young boy, he sees a dream. It disturbs him. Who does he go talk to in the Quran? He goes talk to his dad. You ever see a teenage boy, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 11-year-old even, maybe 9, 10, sees a dream, something bothered him. First person he goes to talk to is his dad. Anything small goes wrong in your life, especially a boy, and you say, maybe I should talk to dad about this. Is that what you normally do? If it's a really big problem, maybe you'll go talk to your mom. And when you do, the first thing you'll tell her is, don't tell dad. And then you'll talk about whatever it is you have to talk about. The fact that Yusuf alayhi salam went and spoke to his father is already teaching fathers a huge deal. He has some kind of relationship with his child, by virtue of which no matter how disturbed the child may be, and the problem may be big or small, in this case the problem isn't even a matter of reality, it's a matter of a dream. But whatever problem comes up, I should be able to talk to my dad no matter what. I should be able to talk to him. That's the kind of relationship Yaqub alayhi salam has established with his child. He doesn't have to come and tell him, if something happens, you better come and tell me, you hear? No, he comes himself. He comes himself and tells his dad. That's huge. Before we even learn anything else about parenting in this surah, we've already learned something huge about what kind of fathers our fathers need to be. How easily accessible they need to be to their kids. How easy should it be for a child to be able to come to their parent and say anything? I'll tell you something. This is easy to talk about, difficult to live by. I have, alhamdulillah, when I only had one child, you're very protective of your first child, and the second and third comes along, and then you mix up their names, right? Hey, you, Kareem, Husna, number 4, or were you 3? Which one? Just get away from there. You go through the extended family's names before you get their name right, but my daughter, my eldest, when she was in preschool, she goes to preschool, she comes home one day, and she's like 3.5, 4 years old. She comes home, she goes to me, Abba, Yusuf is so funny. There's some kid named Yusuf in the class. We saw him, I was like, who's Yusuf? Tell me everything you know. Who's Yusuf? And my wife saw it from a corner of her eye. And she goes, Nouman, can I talk to you for a second? And I came over and said, what is it? He goes, you stay quiet. And she took her, and then my wife talked to me later, she said, listen, you don't think your child can see that you're getting upset? I was like, yeah, I'm sure she could. If she sees that you're getting upset, next time, when it comes to telling you anything about what happens in class, will she open her mouth or keep it shut? She'll keep it shut. She won't say anything. She's going to hide things from you. And it'll be your fault. Because you look like you got upset. It's entirely your fault. You can't close that door on her. You have to just listen. It's harmless. She's 3 years old, 4 years old. What's the big deal? Relax, calm down. And as a Muslim father, you have to kind of get trained into calming down. We don't have that training. We actually have quite the opposite training. Interestingly enough, the words that come out of Yusuf alayhi salam's mouth, they begin with Ya Abati. So he's about to tell his dad the dream, and he uses the words Ya Abati. Now in Arabic, if you say Ya Abi, it's a sign of you're addressing your father. When you say Ya Abati and you add that ta that you hear, it's a show of respect. Oh, my noble father, my respected father, my beloved father, Dad, I love you. It's like these terms of respect have been added just by that ta when he addresses his dad. What we're learning is not only is his child ready to communicate with him at any point, at the same time he's also extremely respectful. And that's at the same time it's a compliment to the child, but at the same time it's a compliment to the father. What kind of father communicates openly with his child and at the same time maintains a relationship of respect? Because when you get very frank with kids, what happens? They run all over you. They'll run all over you and they become too casual. And then you have to become strict because you say, I should be strict because that way they'll show me respect. If you come from where I come from, Pakistan, there's one way to get respect. If you're a father, be as harsh and as mean, as nasty as you possibly can be, and that is the way you get respect. You never hear your name said nicely. If your name is Abdullah, you don't never hear that say, Abdullah, could you come here? Abdullah? And you better show up looking all scared. You can't smile. If you're smiling at your dad, you're like, what? What is this? What are you looking at? Being angry, whether you're, and by the way, this isn't just for Pakistanis, even though we're awesome at it, right? It's parents all over. Muslim parents are generally very harsh. And they think that's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be disciplinaries. Especially the father should be tough. So when he walks into the house, there should be absolute silence. Everybody should drop what they're doing. Dad's here. Like everything's going well in the house, everybody's playing around, things are happening, and Dad's in the driveway. Huh? Sit still, don't look around. There's that culture. What Yaqub alayhi salam is teaching us is the opposite. This child is most comfortable talking to his father, even about a dream. And when he addresses him, he commands this respect. What I'm trying to get at is, we thought the formula for getting respect from your kids is being harsh and mean, being loud, being scary. That would be the way I will get the respect of my kids. Maybe that worked in Pakistan, maybe that worked in Cairo, maybe that worked in Palestine, maybe that worked in Syria and in Bangladesh. It ain't working here. This here is America. It ain't working here. And you've already tried it and it hasn't worked. And then you come to the Imam and say, my teenage boy doesn't listen to me. What should I do? What you should do is realize where you live. First of all, seriously. You're in a culture where your kids go to school. Your kids go to school and they go with other non-Muslim children who, when they address their mom, they don't say mom, they say, Samantha, come here. That's what they do. It's normal for them. That's normal for them. And your kids go to school with other children who, when they're talking about their father, say, my dad, man, he's so weird. That's the nicest thing they'll say, by the way. That's not the bad stuff yet. And kids talk about their parents just like they're talking about some idiot. Seriously, that's what they hear all the time. And then you have our children, the parents here, many of you have funny accents, at least to your kids. It sounds funny, it sounds weird, And we're trained in a culture to constantly make fun of other people. We're just trained that way. So guess what? If you're an easy target, your kids behind your back are even making fun of you. There's no respect, is what I'm trying to say. And your idea and my idea was if we're extra harsh, we'll get their respect. No. If you're open, if you're a genuine friend to your children, if you're a source of nurturing and protection for them, you will have their respect like nothing else will gain it. And you will maintain a communication with them that otherwise cannot be had. One of the biggest problems we have between parents and children is that children, as they get older, they stop talking to their parents. They don't talk to them. How many parents here have teenage kids? Let me see your hands. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Honest to God, I am terrified for all of you. I went to a youth program with my daughter who was 7 at the time. I took her to a youth program where there were 500 teenage kids. 250 boys, 250 girls. It was a weekend thing. All these high school kids are there, Muslim kids. And these are supposed to be the good Muslim kids. These are the boys that somewhat look like they're praying. And these are the girls that, I think that's a hijab. Right? These are those kids. I spent some time with them walking around on campus, and then I had to just walk away. So I took my daughter, and we're sitting far away on a bench, and I'm sitting on a bench, and I'm crying. And my daughter asked me, why are you crying, Abba? What happened? I said, you're going to be one of those things in 6 years. I'm not going to be like that. Yeah, you are. Yeah. It's coming. Everywhere when I first had a child, I used to be like, man, this is hard, changing diapers. They're crying, you got to wake up at night, burp them. You pick them up, and they won't go to sleep. Then they start teething. They get a fever, all this stuff. It's hard. For early parenting, it's hard. So you go to parents who have older kids, you say to them, hey, it gets easier, right? When they're teenagers, it gets easier, right? And they say, enjoy this. I'll take the smelly diapers any day over my 15-year-old. Man, it's crazy. There is a gap, but there's something to be said about the role of parents in creating that gap. Though the crime is on both sides. I'm going to start on the parent side. Especially fathers, guys, especially fathers. You come home from a long day of work, you sit home, and all you want to do is nothing. You just want to watch TV, flip the channels, watch news, watch where the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You want to check what's going on in the world, even though you won't remember any of it, nor do you care, but this is your form of entertainment. And your kid comes over, your 5-year-old comes over. Dad, look what I made. Look what I did. Dad, play with me. Come on, let's do something. Let's play tag. And they're talking to you. What are you doing? Could you leave me alone? I'm trying to watch the news. And you'll call his mother. Hey, Fatima, can you get rid of him, please? I just came home from work. I need some peace. I don't need to hear this. Don't you have toys I bought you? Go play with those. Same child, 10 years later. He's 15 years old, and you're picking him up from school, and you say, so, son, how was your day? What'd you do? Did you talk to any friends? Maybe. Where are you going to go later? Somewhere. What are you going to do? I don't know. They won't talk to you, and then you come tell the imam, my kid doesn't talk to me. Yeah, you didn't talk to him. You didn't talk to him all this time. You didn't have time. You didn't create a relationship first. How is it going to just come out of nowhere? It doesn't. And those are the ages, by the way, 10, 11, 12, 13. Those are the critical ages. At those ages, before then, children are most obsessed with making their parents proud. Doesn't even matter what religion you're from. This is just pure child psychology. Young children just want to make their parents proud. They want to show their parents what they've done. The biggest source of influence to them is their parents. Not in my household. I shaved my son's head and I said, that looks cool, I'll do it myself. So it's the other way. But usually kids want to be like their parents. They want to do everything their parents do. If I'm sitting there typing on a laptop, I'll tell even my 2-year-old, I'll give him a toy, he'll leave that alone. He wants to type on the laptop. Why? Because Abba's doing it. They want to be like you. But that changes as they get to a certain age. Now they want to be like their other friends. And more importantly, they want to be nothing like you. They want to be the exact opposite of everything you are. They go through that phase. They're getting into a dangerous age. And that critical age, if you didn't already have a very open, friendly, clear, transparent, loving relationship, if that wasn't already there, you're in for some serious trouble. There's some serious trouble headed your way. I bring up Surah Yusuf because at a young age, he's already showing respect and open communication. That's critical for both parent and child. How many of us are having dinner every night with our children? And when you do sit and have dinner, how many of us are actually talking to our kids? Actually talking to our kids. In the age of cell phones and texting and all this other stuff and cognitive dissonance, you can't even carry a real conversation with another human being, let alone your children. And alhamdulillah, I have 3 girls. 2 of them were going to school up until last year. Now all 3 of them go to school. And I used to pick them up from their school. Do you know how much girls talk? Energizer Bunny's got nothing on girls. They could talk and talk and talk and talk. You could fall asleep, you'll wake up, they're still talking to you. They're still talking to you. They don't stop. And so I'm picking them up from school, and Waliya starts telling me, how about, what happened today? My hair clip fell out. My hair clip, the purple one fell out, but the pink one was still there. When the purple one fell out, my friend said, hey, your purple one fell down. Pick it up. So I picked it up. I said, it's a little dirty. It's not that dirty. Then I cleaned it up a little bit. When I put it back on, it didn't get on the right way. So I took the purple one off and the pink one off too. And then my friend helped me put it back on. And you know what I should do at this point? I should say, yeah. Like I'm totally zoned out, not listening. But actually, I have to make it a conscious effort to actually listen and say, so what happened to the pink one then? What about the purple? I have to actually listen. Because and if you're not listening, your kids know. Your kids know. Especially girls, they're really sharp. They pick it up. Like I said, blah, 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 and you're going to say, they'll throw in, can I have $50? It's happened to me. I've caught myself. Right? It'll happen. It'll happen. But we have to become good listeners, especially the fathers. Especially the fathers. The moms naturally, Allah has given them certain gifts. Like parenting comes more naturally to a mother. Allah has given her that gift. He just makes her nurturing, soft, caring, concerned, just naturally. Fathers have to work on it. You're sitting at home, your child falls down. Who gets up immediately? Oh, mera bacha, oh, yeah. Who does that? The father? The father's sitting there, pick yourself up, child. In Urdu, say, kuch nahi hua, chalo, go back. Dust it off. Nothing. That's nothing. Don't worry about it. Just a little bit of blood. The mom will go crazy. It's natural to her. I'm telling the fathers here, if we want our children to be raised in Islam, the first thing we need to be is their best friend. And that takes work. It takes serious work. Parents here, fathers here, you guys have to get in shape. I'm serious. You have to get in shape. Not for yourself, for your kids. You come home, your kids want to play with you, and you just, Abba, pick me up, throw me around, do this, you do a little bit of that, and you're like, Abba's got to lie down, hold on. That's not how you raise kids. Taking our kids hiking, playing sports with them, taking them to the backyard. Even if they're playing video games, play video games with them. Play with them. Play the Wii with them. Bowl with them. I don't care. Just do stuff with your kids. It's a critical part of opening barriers. So they can talk to you about anything. Because I'm telling you, when they reach a certain age, the need to talk to someone will always be there. You would rather that person be you, not some non-Muslim friend who will give non-Muslim kinds of advice. You would rather that be yourself. You don't want to discover your child has developed another personality later on in life because you never talked to them and eventually you actually engaged in a conversation and you realize, whoa, this is a different person. Who are you? You've been living under my house all these years? When did this happen? Oh, it done been happened, Daddy. It been happened. You just never knew. You were busy. You were busy. You have to make special time for your children. It has to be just their time. And if you have multiple kids, you have to go out of your way to make sure each child gets individual attention and time from you. No one else, you. No toys, no gadgets, no nothing, just you. It has to be there. It's absolutely critical. Now let's talk about what Yusuf alayhi salam said. What did he tell his dad? إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ رَأَيْتُهُمْ لِي سَاجِدِينَ. The translation says, I saw 11 stars, the sun and the moon. I saw them making sajda to me. There's so much missed in that translation. First of all, he mentions the verb I saw twice. He says, I saw 11 stars, the sun and the moon. Then he stops and he starts over again. He says, I saw. Have you ever seen a child who's reluctant to tell you what happened in the playground? They come home dirty. Or some other kid's crying. What happened? I was playing, and I was playing, and then I was playing, and then when they get to the part that'll get them in trouble, they'd rather what? Start over again. Quran is teaching us Yusuf alayhi salam was so disturbed by his dream, when he gets to the part that really bothers him, Al-Qamar, his dad making sajda too, he's so bothered by that, he starts over again. Ra'aytuhum. Then he says, li. He doesn't say, Ra'aytuhum sajidina li. He says, Ra'aytuhum li sajid. This is called muta'alliq bil khabar muqaddam. That's a grammar term. What it means especially is, to me they were doing sajda? Why me? He was shocked by that. The part that he was disturbed by is mentioned in disturbing language style. Then he uses the word sajideen. Sajideen in the Arabic language to make sajda is only used for people, lil-aqil. The Arabic word to use for non-human things, making sajda, is either sajida or sajidat. He uses sajideen. This is the language of Yusuf alayhi salam. This is how he's expressing the dream. You know what Allah is telling us? By him using the human, one of the interpretations of that is, it is as though this intelligent boy had already figured out what his dream means. That's what disturbed him even more. He had already figured it out because the kind of language he was using is used for human beings, not for the sun and the moon and the stars. And that helps us understand the next ayah more, because immediately his father compliments him. And he tells him that he's going to have a great future. Wait, two things. What two things did I just say? What does his father do? Number one, he compliments him. Well, number two, he's going to have I didn't hear you. He's going to have a great future. Sound familiar? That's just like you, right, as a dad? You compliment your kids all the time? You tell them they're going to have a great future? No, you don't. You don't tell them that. It's almost as though it's haram to compliment our children. It's almost as though it's forbidden. You can't say, you look nice today, you look so good. Great job on the test. I'm so proud of you. You're doing wonderful. Keep it up. You can't say it, it hurts. It hurts too much. For Muslim men, sometimes it's very painful to compliment your wife. It hurt. I understand, it hurts in the liver, right? There's a particular spot over here in the ribs. Sharp pain happens when you compliment your wife. I understand. So the moment you compliment her, to ease the pain, you have to say something mean right after that. Right? So you say to your wife, the dinner's pretty good. Could have used more salt. Like, you have to balance the equation all. You can't just say something nice. And that's what she says. Can't you just say something nice? You ever heard that before? That's with your wife. But with your kids, it's even harder to say nice things. Especially where I come from. We're really good at not saying nice things. Your child struggles in mathematics. He's doing poorly. He's not very tuned into mathematics. He usually gets a 70, a 65, and one day that same child gets a 95 on their math test. Greatest day of their life. They've never seen a 95 before. Then they bring it to you, Mr. Pakistani father. But look what I got, 95. What do? Next time get 100. Right? Come on. How hard is it for you to say something nice? We have to compliment our kids because it builds their confidence. We learn in the beginning of this amazing surah that a father complimented his child, putting in him confidence. And later on in life, when a crisis hit a country, it was his confidence that saved that country. He stood up confidently and said, give me this job, I'll take care of this economic crisis. I know how to manage it. That takes confidence. And in the beginning of the surah, we're learning where his confidence comes from. His father is making him believe in himself. وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْحَدِيثِ. These words are very interesting. Yaqub alayhi salam is saying, that is how your master is teaching you. يُعَلِّمُكَ لَمْ يَقُلْ سَيُعَلِّمُكَ. يُعَلِّمُكَ. He says, he teaches you and will teach you. The mudari' includes both forms. In other words, Yaqub alayhi salam realizes this kid is special. Ijtiba in Arabic is used when you recognize when you select something based on a talent. Seeing a dream is not a talent. The fact that Yusuf alayhi salam saw a dream is not a talent. The fact that he figured out what it means, now there's a talent. And this father is sharp enough to see talent immediately and spot it and use the word وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ. You're not just special because you saw a dream, it's also special the way you described it. You got something special. And clearly Allah is teaching you how to interpret different kinds of speech. And He will continue to do so. And not only is He doing so now, وَيُتِمُّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ. And He will complete His favor upon you. He's making dua for His child's future. He's not saying things like you and I say. You're a loser now, you're always going to be a loser. You're such a disappointment. 5 minutes? Awesome. It's not a license plate, thank God. So I'm happy about that. He's giving him compliments. He's, affirming the good talents of his child. What that means for us as parents is if your child has certain tendencies, certain talents, you have to acknowledge them. And you can't unless you listen to them carefully. It takes a careful ear of Yaqub alayhi salam to see this kid's special. Had he not been listening, a child comes, Dad, I saw a dream. 11 stars, sun and moon, they were making such to me. Let me finish watching the news. Won't get you anywhere. Even a child deserves to be listened to carefully. That is the sunnah of Yaqub alayhi salam. Even a child, you should listen to them carefully. They're not just ranting and raving. They have something to offer. They have something to say. Before you send your child to a therapist or an imam, there are people who say to the speaker, and I've gone through this so many times, parents that are having trouble with their kids, usually teenage kids. You know what they do? Ustad Nouman must have some special solution for us. So they'll grab their teenage boy or girl, bring him up to the stage, and say, Brother Nouman, can we have a minute of your time? Yes. This is my son. He's very bad. Say something. Now, two people are in a very awkward position. This poor guy who's humiliated for no reason, who already hates my guts now, even though I have done him no wrong. And what am I supposed to say to him? I just say, sorry, bro. Shouldn't put you on the spot like that. No, but he's good, but he's very bad. All they'll say, they'll bring some daughter, some girl. She doesn't even want to come. Can you talk to her? She doesn't listen to me. I was like, no matter what I say, it won't make a difference. You think I have a solution just because you find that you heard my speech and it affected you maybe by Allah's permission, that I'm just going to have some words for your child and everything's going to change? No, it doesn't work like that. You can bring about that change, not me. And you have to make dua to Allah. Now let's take another, I know it's 5 minutes, I don't know how I'm going to cover all this, but a few other things. A parent is very clear about who their children are. If they spend a lot of time with their children, then not only do they know their strengths, they also know their weaknesses. They also know their flaws. They also know they have an anger problem, or they get jealous really quickly, or they rush into things, or they don't do careful enough work, etc. They know their tendencies. They don't use them to attack them all the time. They don't use that to humiliate them all the time. They still compliment them for the good they have, but they're aware of their weaknesses. That's the other extreme in Muslim parenting. We come from a good family, therefore our children are genetically incapable of sin. Because we come from a noble family. You know, we're from Lahore. Nobody ever does bad deeds in Lahore, so our kids are immune from sin. When the khatib is talking about youth that have problems, then he's talking about somebody else, my neighbor's child, not me, my child, not me. You know? Yaqub alayhi salam's kids messed up. Not all of them were Yusuf. Allah says you will learn a lot of things from Yusuf. You will also learn a lot of things from his brothers. لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي يُوسُفَ وَإِخْوَتِهِ آيَاتٌ لِلسَّائِلِينَ. It's incredible. Allah says in Yusuf and his brothers there are many lessons, many signs for people who ask. From the successful example of a child and the unsuccessful example of children, both of them are very important for us to learn how to be parents. This is counseling from Allah. Last comment I'll make with you. You can do everything you can as a parent. You can communicate clearly, you can be merciful, you can be kind, you can try to provide a good religious education, you can be concerned, you can make sincere dua to Allah. You can be a parent like the likes of Yaqub alayhi salam. May Allah make us all like that. Good parents like Yaqub alayhi salam. But that does not guarantee that your child, when they are no longer a child, when they are an adult, that does not guarantee that they will commit themselves to guidance. You don't have that in your hands. Guidance is not in the hands of parents. Guidance is in the hands of Allah. You can do everything you can. You can even be Yaqub alayhi salam, who is the son of Ishaq, who is the son of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and you can still have messed up kids who do some pretty bad stuff. And they did. So I'm saying to you, just because you put in your effort does not mean guidance is guaranteed for our children. A point comes where even Luqman has to tell his son, and we understand that Luqman radiallahu anhu would have been an amazing father. He still has to tell his son, Ya bunayya la tushrik billahi inna shirka la dhulmun azim. Yaqub alayhi salam, his children have already made tawbah. You know, at the end of the story, they made tawbah. Everything was good. Everything was good in the hood, basically. He's about to die, and he's still not sure whether they will be guided or not, so he says, مَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن بَعْدِي أَمْ كُنْتُمْ شُهَدَاءَ إِذْ حَضَرَ يَعْقُوبَ الْمَوْتِ إِذْ قَالَ لِبَنِيهِ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن بَعْدِي. Were you around when death came, presented itself to Yaqub? What did he say? What are you going to worship after I'm gone? I'm not sure. You better, because you're on your own at that point. You're on your own. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells Fatima radiallahu anha, Ya Fatima bintu Muhammad, ittaqillah, fa inni la amliku laki min Allahi shay'a. You should have taqwa of Allah. I will have no authority for you before Allah. You're on your own when it comes to guidance. We have to instill that into our kids. That's a critical teaching that we have to first internalize ourselves and instill it into our children. Last bit, I promise. I'll stay within my, is there a timer? I'm good? Okay. Last bit. In regards to this conversation, the patience of parents. This is probably one of the most important points I think I can make. I haven't been tested with this yet, but I'm sure I will be as my children get older. Some of you are being tested with this already. Your children, as they become teenagers, they start turning into monsters. They talk back. They roll their eyes. They say obnoxious things. They speak under their breath. You tell them, did you finish your homework? I don't know. What'd you say? Nothing. I heard you say something. You're always telling me something. I'm not lying. I didn't say anything. Right? They become so epic in their emotions. Can I go over? Can I go to their house for a sleepover? No, you can't. You never let me do anything, ever. I've never been happy in my life because of you. They become really epic. They're like these monsters living in your house. Like you're almost afraid to talk to them. Like if you talk to them, they'll explode. Zainab, what? You know. But you know what? At that point, as they start getting older and older and older, they become more and more independent. I'm talking to the parents for a second. You used to change their diaper. You used to put food in their mouth. You used to burp them. You used to clean them. You used to feed them. You used to clothe them. They didn't decide what color clothes they'll wear or what size diaper they'll put on. You did that for them. They were completely under your control, completely. And then as the years go by, you lose a little bit of control, then you lose a little more control, then you lose a little more control, then you say you will go to that college and say, no, I won't, I'm going to go to that college. You're going to do this major? No, I won't, I want to do that major. You're going to marry her? No, I'm not, I'm going to marry her. Okay, once you get married, get a job here? No, I won't, I'm going to go get a job there. I'm going to live here. I'm going to name my kids this. You start losing control as they get older. And when that happens, you feel angry. God, how disrespectful my children are. They don't listen to me. They don't listen to me. You know, at that point, I want you to appreciate something. Especially with rebellious kids. First of all, there's a time you have to learn to let go. They're adults. You shouldn't try to control their life. When they get married, leave them alone. Be nice to them. Be nice to your family. Be nice to your son. Be nice to his wife. Just let them live their life. Don't invade their life. You're not going to bring any good out of it. You're miserable and you're making them miserable. Don't do it. Let them be at peace. Don't interfere with how she is as a mother. Leave her alone. Just let her be. Let her breathe. And and on the other hand, of course, to balance the equation, sometimes the husband will not give the rights of the parents, and just for the sake of the wife says, don't go to your parents' house, and he says, I won't go. No, men have to balance all of these things. But this conversation is particularly about parents who don't know when to put the brakes on and let go a little bit. You have to let go for the sake of your children. Not just in their deen, but in their akhirah too. If you're not happy with them, how can Allah be happy with them? You're digging their hole in Jahannam. When you're constantly unhappy with them, learn to be happy with your kids. When you think about all the things, usually our Muslim parents, when they think about their children, they think all of the things they should complain about. Think of the things that are wonderful about your child. Thank Allah for the ni'mah of your child. Be grateful for what you have. So what if it's not perfect? This is not Jannah. It's not Jannah. So this was the point I'm building up to, this one point. Yaqub alayhi salam's sons messed up pretty bad. They didn't just mess up his car, right? They didn't just break the kitchen sink. They didn't do some minor damage. They left their brother in the woods. That's pretty big. If you do something messed up and your parents find out, you scratched up the car, you put a virus on your dad's laptop, you went through your dad's, those files that are useless papers that he has in the house, that he never reads, but he never lets you touch them? You accidentally shred those. The ones that he'll never read ever, but they're really important to him for some reason. One day he'll make paper planes of them. But now, you can't touch them though. So you shred them by accident. What's your dad going to do if he finds out? I don't want to know. I don't want to know. He'll explode. He'll explode. These guys come into the house before Yaqub alayhi salam, showing him a fake blooded shirt. What does he do? You know what I was expecting? If you don't know the story and you get to that point, you're like, oh, this is going to be bad. These guys are going to get it. What comes next? فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. I'm just going to find beauty in patience. When I read that as a father, I could not understand it. Why? It was almost like I'm sitting in the same room with Yaqub. I'm like, why? Why'd you say sabr? What? You should be angry. Hit him. At least smack one of them. One of them. Nothing. He says, sabrun jameel, wallahu musta'an. He knows they're lying. He says, I'm going to have sabr. Why? The question is, why did Quran tell us that? It's a really important question. Because that same question comes up in your household life all the time. Your kids say things, do things that make you so angry, and your immediate response is anger. And the response of Yaqub alayhi salam is patience. The question is why? Because he's a really, really, really intelligent father. We learned that from the beginning of the surah. He knows his kids very, very well. They haven't even planned against Yusuf yet, but he said, watch out, they might plan against you. Did he call it? He called it like a play. He called it because he knows his kids. So he also knows there are times when yelling at your children will make things worse. And the only thing you can do is patience. This is one of those times. Yelling at them will not do any good. The only thing left is patience. Some of you not learning it. You yell at your kids, your 18-year-old. You yell at him, he yells back, he slams the door, he walks out of the house. You yell at your daughter, she starts crying, she doesn't talk to you for 3 days. Then you yell at her again, it happens all over again. You refuse to learn the lesson of Yaqub alayhi salam. Sabrun jameel. There's an age your children reach where all you can do is have sabr and make lots and lots and lots of dua. And then somebody will come up to me at the end of the speech and say, brother, I've been doing sabr. It's been like 3 days I've been doing sabr. Nothing has changed. You can't put a timer on your sabr, guys. Yaqub alayhi salam has sabr. Does it pay off eventually? Do those kids eventually come around by Allah's grace? They do, right? Does it happen the next week? 6 months from then? A year from then? 2 years from then? 10 years from then? It happens a while later, right? Just trust Allah and have sabr at a certain point. These are some basic teachings of Allah's book. These aren't just stories. These aren't just stories. These are the best of all stories. Why? Because every little bit of this story has things that makes my life better. May Allah Azza wa Jal make our lives better by His guidance. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum.
النور ألبسنا حسنا وتيجانا والأنس والشحنا نورا وتبيانا في أرضنا بزغت شمس بها آلاق والكون أنشدنا يروي حنايانا النور ألبسنا حسنا وتيجانا والأنس والشحنا نورا وتبيانا في أرضنا بزغت شمس بها آلاق والكون أنشدنا يروي حنايانا